Okay, Steve, you got a funny story for me?
So, are you any good with languages?
Okay.
Yeah. So I was terrible. My brothers are very accomplished guys. My two younger brothers, but we were all awful at language. Matter of fact, I took 3 years of Spanish, and the only thing I ever learned was the first line in the textbook, which was "Hola, Paco, que tal?" And matter of fact, when I used to get drunk down in Mexico and blackouts, people would tell me the next day that I had all those bruises because, guys had punched me because that's what I said to everyone. Hola, Paco, que tal?
Wait, anybody?
Yeah, and they didn't think it was funny. I think it probably even said it to women. So, and we were even worse when it came to singing. We were all completely tone deaf, and each of us, when we were young, we'd be driving to Tahoe or something, and a song would come on the radio, and we'd start singing along, and the rest of the family would erupt, insist that you never sing along again.
And ruin the song.
Yeah, just horrible. Matter of fact, my brother Chris and I was in 6th grade, he was in 5th. He's dead now. But they had choir tryouts in my grade school, and everybody had to do it. And, so we had to get up there and sing. And at the end, the choir teacher gave you a little slip of paper, and if you were going to be in choir, there was a plus on it. And if not, there was a minus. And my brother and I were the only guys who got question marks.
Wait, no plus, no minus.
A question mark. I remember how outraged my mother was, but I carried the thing around for years. I was so proud of it. So anyway, I turned down a basketball scholarship late after high school, and I didn't have any money, so I ended up at Portland State in downtown Portland. And, philosophy was going to be my major, so I had to take 2 years of German and 2 of French. So at grade N, I thought I'd start out with French. And it turns out, understandably, an idiot who couldn't even learn Spanish, French was just totally beyond me. And I was so poor, I just put my name on tests and handed in. But you had to get up and speak. And after I'd done it a couple times, the professor was a guy named Sauvage, who'd been a minister, priest in Lithuania. And he escaped, one time or another. And so he was in the U.S., he was teaching French. So, a funny little guy with a handlebar mustache. At the end of every day, his treat for the class was he'd give me a paragraph in French. And I had to stand up in front of the class and read it.
Wait, is he punishing you? Was this for being bad?
Well, he probably didn't appreciate that I didn't, it was him reacting to what he said was the worst French student he'd ever had. So I'd get up there, and I'd only read a few words, and everybody'd start laughing, and he was the worst. I rarely got through a whole sentence where he would just beg me to stop. I can't believe a human being would pronounce French like that. So we got through the whole term like that. I guess I might have been put off by it, but I was working 50 hours a week. I was taking 20 hours, and I was living in a whorehouse.
Wait, living in a whorehouse, you're working, and you're just going to school.
Yeah,
and this French guy's giving you shit.
I don't even remember what was happening most of the time. I mean, I was exhausted. And these are all upper division classes because I registered so late, I didn't get any of the freshman classes or anything. And the rest of them were all philosophy classes. So I think we took the French final. Then language labs were relatively new then. So the first day of class, he showed us how to use the language lab. And you put the headphones on, and I realized I could record myself singing. And I had this idea, I had a deep voice. We all want to be in a rock band. I thought, I could be a baritone in a rock band. And I thought, my voice is probably shitty, but I'm tone deaf, so I don't know. So I decided I would sing into the mic and record myself while the rest of them were listening to French.
So you could hear yourself.
Yeah. Well, and then I play it back, and this is the part I don't understand why I kept doing it, because I think it just got worse over time. And I imagine I was kind of a balladeer kind of guy, so it'd be stuff like, smoke gets in your eyes, or I want to hold your hand, stuff that you would never sing out loud in front of other people. So last day of class, he takes us down to the language lab, and he comes out in front of the console where he always sat, and he said, class, today we have a very special treat. I give you Monsieur Park's greatest hits. So it turns out that little shit was up there the whole time. I thought I was deleting the stuff, and he was recording it. And he presses the button, and the first song was "I've Lost That Love and Feeling." I remember that, and the next one was "I've Got You, Babe" by Sonny and Cher. And the other students were laughing so hard. The guy next to me fell off his chair and banged his head. He was over there moaning. And then by the third song, the other students stood up and started clapping along and singing. I'm a guy, essentially, most people think I'm embarrassed every day. I've never been as embarrassed as I was by that. I jumped up. I remember I tried to leave, and this fat girl was trying to get my autograph, I pushed by her, and I just stormed down the hallway, and I get a ways down to here, Monsieur Park, and little Sebastian is running up to me, and he's still laughing, but he's trying to be nice about it. He said, I apologize, that was so terrible for me to do. But he said, I just couldn't resist. He said, your voice is so awful. And I said, yeah, I get it, man, I get it, that's okay. And he said, look, I've never been more entertained by a student. He said, I'll make a deal with you. And I said, well, what kind of deal? He said, if you come back and take French from me again, I'll give you a D- instead of an F. And I thought about
Wait, why are you going to get an F?
Because all I did was sign my name to the test. I didn't even bother to try. I was always an A student, but I just wasn't getting French. So I said, no. I said, C- or nothing. He said, I can't give you a C-. You never answered a single question on a test. And I said, if you don't give me a C-, I'm going to take German next term. And the guy, he was apoplectic. He was laughing so hard. He goes, if you do that, I'll pay to attend the class. He said, you can't even do French. I want to hear you croaking out German. And he started laughing again. And I thought, maybe they've got it going on in Lithuania. This kind of a guy is a priest there. He'd be better torturing people. And, finally said, that's it, C- or nothing. He thought about it. He said, okay, I'll give you a C- if you'll promise to come back and take French from me again when you're here next term. And I said, absolutely. And we shook on it, and I walked off. And the thing was, this basketball coach had found me working in the department store the day before, and I'd signed a letter of intent to play basketball for him, a scholarship up in Longview at that junior college. So I knew I'd never be back, and I knew that it was time to give up the philosophy and try basketball.